Welcome to What's Happening in Warhammer.
And because you guys made the mistake of subscribing to me, that makes me now a YouTuber, which means I now have to follow the YouTube terms of service, and I'm required to say a small percentage of you guys are actually subscribed that enjoy my content. If you would love to see more of this stuff, please like, hit the bell icon, and subscribe. And let's get into the video.
I just got off of watching the reveal show, and I have a bunch of interesting takes I want to talk about, and because you gave me micro-internet celebrity, and I'm just going to spew my thoughts into the world, because my thoughts are definitely important. We're going to follow the stream and what they revealed. So the first thing they revealed is Orican the Stormlord. Now, I feel mixed, because I was hoping for it to be Trazen, but it's not Trazen. Orican is still pretty cool and one of the first Necrons to wake up. He definitely, from a technical standpoint, got a glow up, but with the new way they're designing Necrons, they definitely look a little emotionless, and he has a tactical rock on his base. I think the most unique thing is sort of digital cloak, for lack of a better way of phrasing, and he is a direct kind of one-to-one from the original model. But I feel like with the hand sculpting, they were able to get a bit more emotion into him. It's still a solid miniature, and if you don't like him as a character, you could definitely kit bash and take away a few unique things and run him as a generic Necron Lord. The other thing we got revealed to us is the Necron Codex, with different cover art, which will be interesting because it seems like GW's keeping some cover arts the same and changing some other cover arts. The next thing they revealed was probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. This is a new AdMech sniper. Now, I can't tell if it's a character or just a special unit, but either way, it looks really weird and dumb in my opinion. You don't really want your sniper being this tall and out in the open. I guess if you're fighting in like hive worlds, maybe you want to have raisable stilts, but it just kind of seems wonky. I would skip this so hard. And then we also got the reveal for the AdMech Codex with the same cover art as before, which is good cover art, but it kind of feels lazy. Anyways, that's literally all we got for Warhammer 40k, which is super underwhelming. I can blame myself a bit. I was kinda hyped for this reveal show, and it might be my fault. Let's move to Age of Sigmar. My takes might be a little weird because I don't play Age of Sigmar. I'm mainly in the grim dark future. Now, they revealed a new miniature. They revealed Lord Idonis Cryptborn for the Stormcast Eternal. Call me a bit salty, but I'm kind of jealous. This looks like an amazing model. However, it doesn't look like an Age of Sigmar model, which might sound weird with him riding on a dragon and all that. With all the skulls on this guy, in the mace, it feels like this should have been what our Terminator Chaplain kind of looked like, not the wimpy excuse for one they gave. However, this model definitely gets me considering to join Age of Sigmar. This thing looks pretty dope. I love the dragon on it, and it looks like an epic centerpiece model. His skull helmet actually looks like a skull. The dragon I found really interesting. He definitely got a glow up from his original miniature, and I hope they continue this with the Age of Sigmar range. Because I was there at the beginning of Age of Sigmar, I think it's left a little taint in my mouth. Whenever I read the lore, I just think of all the bad stories they did in the initial release of Age of Sigmar. And then I also remember all the initial Stormcast models that look derpy. He is going to initially release in a box set, which honestly kind of sucks. I'm tired of GW releasing characters in box set. They did this with the Lion, and I didn't need the Lion's Guard. I already have Blade Vets. I just want the Lion. But this feels like an excuse to charge a bit more because you're not getting one miniature. The next model I'm not going to be as positive with. Bellicos the First, I cannot pronounce this name. This guy that's on screen. The annoying thing is I like the tree imp by himself, and I like the bug by itself, but putting them together, I don't like it. It's weird that you can blow a horn without lips, but I'm just going to chuck that up to magic. That's really all I have to say. I mean, this is the definition of not greater sum of its parts. each part individually is just better than this whole mini together. It's actually quite funny that the tree people elves, the tree people, I don't know what to call them. I know the trees are imps, but I don't know what to call the sort of elf-like people with them, look better, that are riding on these bugs look better than he does. If they literally just took him off the bug and put these two as two separate miniatures, it would be so much better. They also revealed a Warhammer Age of Sigmar campaign book, I guess. Again, I don't know. I don't play Age of Sigmar. If I did, I would play Skaven, and they're better than all of you. Moving from Age of Sigmar to Kill Team, we get a recycle. Now that might be a bit disingenuous, because we did get new striking scorpions, but this Kill Team definitely kind of just feels like a throw together. It feels like these striking scorpions should have just been a normal release to just finish off updating their range, not releasing this thing in Kill Team. And then the scouts, we've seen them previously. I do have a bit of complaint about scouts because I would love to kit my whole scouts out with snipers, and that's no longer legal in the game, but that's more of a rules issue than anything else. All the models for the scouts look great, and it was nice to see a different chapter front and center with the Raven Guard. They are not releasing this as one big box set like they had been traditionally doing, where you get the 2 kill teams and you get all the terrain. You get a small amount of terrain and they're releasing the terrain separate. I feel mixed about this because obviously Kill Team has its own starter set that comes with a full amount of terrain. But at the same time, you know, say somebody doesn't like the Death Corps of Krieg or the Orcs, and they really like the Eldar in Scout Space Marine, and they really wanted this box particularly. They're not really getting anything but the miniature, which sort of feeds into the idea of it feels like this was thrown together because they're taking what feels like just 2 standard squad boxes and mashing them together. However, on a positive note, I actually really kind of like this terrain. I like the idea of it. Fighting over an ocean planet kind of sounds cool. And granted, this terrain kind of does look a bit generic, but I think that also works in your favor to be able to use this terrain for more than just Warhammer. You know, maybe a small game of Star Wars Legion on this would work pretty well, but I really like them fighting on a water planet with a mix of industrial and water. Makes it really feel like Camino or something like that. But that's all we really got for Kill Team. Moving to the next thing, and this was the one they spent the most time on, is they showed off the whole initial range for the Bretonnians. This is the first wave of the Bretonnians that will be coming to Old World. I was honestly really excited for Old World, but again, I feel mixed, just like this whole show, because we got really cool reveals like the Knight on Pegasus. Kit really feels like an old style kit. A bunch of different varieties of dreadnoughts all in one kit. You can build 3 characters in this kit. Now, I don't think if you buy one singular kit, you're going to be able to build all 3. I think you get 3 different options. But this does leave a lot of room for kit bashing and creating the exact character you want to lead your army, which is kind of refreshing with how many monoposed kits that GW has been releasing. I like monoposed kits, but it feels like every single character is monoposed and you can't change anything about them. One of the new miniatures that they actually showed off, Knights of the Realm on foot, and it's really just charming to see old square bases. I think this is definitely going to take a painting level upgrade looking at these, even compared to what you see in Age of Sigmar. These truly feel like old fantasy miniatures, and that's going to take an interesting level of investment to paint them. It's not like a Space Marine where you can just spray can it blue and then do the detail work. They have cloaks that are quartered, they have metallics, and they have fancy headgear all together. I'm interested in seeing the level of customization they have in these kits. Additionally, because they are plastic kits, these are definitely probably going to be more user-friendly. And this is where we get into a bit more negative. They're reusing old kits from all the way in 2005. They're reusing the old Pegasus Knights, they're reusing Knights of the Realm, they're reusing the Men-at-Arms, they're reusing the Peasant Bowmen, and it kind of just sucks. I have no problem using these old kits, but I know GW is going to come out with these kits, and they're going to charge you a premium for a kit that's over 10 years old. Now don't get me wrong, these kits are fantastic and still look good to this day. At the same time, compare these knights on Pegasus to the new HQ unit they just released. It feels like the old world players are going to get a bit of a short end of the stick here. Most likely GW doesn't really want to produce new old world fantasy kits, and that's why they're just reusing the old kits because it's cheaper. They did create another new miniature, the Handmaiden of the Lady, and I like it and dislike it. All we need to do is get rid of this tactical rose that she's standing on, and she will look great. However, much like all the other Bretonnian characters in the old world line, a lot of them are being turned into Forge World resin, such as the Maiden on the Horse. Now for me, I don't really care. Again, I work with resin a lot. I don't care about working with resin, it's easy for me. But somebody who's trying to start feels kind of weird that they only have one HQ in plastic and the rest of them are either old kits or Forge World resin. The one I do understand becoming Forge World resin was the Field Trebuchet. I can completely understand that becoming Forge World resin because it originally was in metal. And I will take working with resin over working with pewter any day of the week. Pewter is one of the most annoying things to work with if they're not a good miniature manufacturer. And that's really it. This is why I say it was kind of underwhelming, and except for the Age of Sigmar stuff, the rest of it kind of feels sort of half-baked. We learned about Old World last year around this time, and we've only gotten, and it's taken almost a whole year for them to confirm that we're going to get it next year. I had expected to be a bit more positive going into the making of this video, but I'm just trying to give you guys my honest opinion and feedback, seeing as this was the 40th special. I know it's not the 40th anniversary of Warhammer, but it feels like you should have done something a bit more because it's the 40th anniversary of Games Workshop. I would love if you play Age of Sigmar to come in and tell me what your reaction is for the Age of Sigmar releases, because that's really what it feels like they cared about most in this show. Overall, that's what they showed off. It really feels like Age of Sigmar is the only thing GW cares about currently. It doesn't feel like we're getting proper plastic ranges because older players are more attracted to fantasy battles compared to Age of Sigmar, so they know they're going to be much more experienced and just put up with inferior miniatures. Definitely with all the things that's been removed from Forge World, especially from the Space Marine range, that's what new players will be getting into because Space Marine is the new player faction, and replacing it with old Hammer fantasy stuff that's resin that only experienced miniature people will be happy to use. I'm fine with using resin. I use resin all the time through 3D printing in Forge World. New players are definitely put off of using resin, so it kind of feels like the important new player lines are getting put in plastic and everybody else is just sitting there in resin. However, this is my singular opinion and I would love to hear yours in the comments.